as far as Augustine. I don't know if it. I don't actually know the origins of the phrase, but Augustine loves to talk about a heart on fire for God. So most people use that picture. I was trying to find something different, and so that's kind of some of the backstory.
Sure. So give us the tie of the fisherman, kind of to the overall theme of the book.
Yeah. Right. So the overall theme of the book is like, as Augustine, it's an imagery, it's an image that he takes from the Gospels. So he preaches. So I like my dissertation was focused on a collection of his sermons called the Sermons to the People. This is an unedited collection. He has three connections. No, four collections of sermons. One's on the Psalms, one's on the Johannine literature, and then one on the Sermon on the Mount. But anyway, he's got a few of these collections of sermons. And so I was trying to focus on this other one that he never edited. And he uses this phrase, like I say, a number of times. But one of the key themes in all of Augustine's writing is the role of pride and humility. And so the fisherman for Augustine is a kind of example of humility. So a fisherman was a very low status position in Roman culture and Roman society. I think I mentioned this a little bit in the book in the section. Maybe in chapter 4. I also have an article that I wrote on this as well. But so it seems that that fishermen were, I don't know why exactly, but it was like even for sport it was considered like unmanly because you didn't actually kill the fish, you just sort of trapped it, and they thought that like other kinds of hunting were more valiant, and so fishermen just really were just the lowest of the low, and so Augustine thinks that it's particularly powerful that the people that he chooses, I mean, half the disciples or so, right, or maybe not quite half, are fishermen, and he doesn't choose what Christ, the person who Christ explicitly doesn't select to tell his story of his arrival and who he is. The people that he doesn't select are the people that would have like a person like Augustine. Augustine is an orator. Augustine was chosen by the emperor to be his herald, and so Augustine knows all of the high speech, and it's one of the things that's so puzzling to him about the Bible. So I try to go through the backstory of his kind of education. Augustine had been told his whole life, "You were super well educated. You are a good speaker. All the best people want to listen to you. You're it. Like, you're the coolest person on the block because of your ability to speak." And so then he like reads the Bible and he kind of goes, well, wait a minute. God comes to Earth and doesn't do what our emperors do, doesn't do what society has told me to do. Like, this doesn't even make any sense. And at first he rejects it, right? At first he says, I don't want to have anything to do with the Bible. And so he uses that play on the fisherman and the orator because he realizes himself, like, he has to be humble enough to listen to a fisherman tell him about who God is. And that's just too much for him for a while.
Right, right, and I also, there are a number of places in the book where you talk about the kind of people that Augustine talked to, or that he pastored and preached to, and there was a full range. You had sort of the rural, sort of less educated people, and as an orator, he was used to sort of high levels of speech, high speech, complex thoughts, and he had to bring that message down to where the humble fisherman could understand it. And that was just as important to get the message there as it was to his potentially sophisticated listeners, and probably the people earlier in his life that he spent all of his time arguing before, when he was sort of in his rhetorical phase or his phase in order.